Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some of the most unbelievable, jaw-dropping stories I've ever read. These are all real accounts from people who found themselves in situations so wild, so unexpected, they had no choice but to share them with the world. We've got everything from family betrayals that will make your blood run cold, to a revenge plot so brilliant it belongs in a movie, to a hotel stay that turned into a police drama. So buckle up, because you're not going to believe these stories. Let's get started. Story 1. The Golden Child and the Christmas Check. Our first story is a question that a lot of people have been asking on the internet. Why don't you talk to your parents anymore? And for this person, the answer is a story that begins and ends with a check. A check that was a reward for one child and a weapon against the other. So this happened a while back, but it's never really stopped replaying in my head, especially this time of year. My parents are the type who want everything to look perfect on the outside. They'll fight about bills before people come over and then act like everything's chill when the doorbell rings. Growing up, it was always this thing where my brother Grant got all the attention and I was just there. It's not like I didn't try to be good enough, but it was always clear who the favorite was. Grant is a couple of years younger and has always been the golden child. No one in the family even tries to pretend otherwise anymore. My mom, Marilyn, used to say stuff like, "Grant is her heart, and I'm the practical one," which I found out was her nice way of saying I'm boring and not good at parties. My dad, David, is kind of the silent type, unless he's got a reason to brag about Grant. Then suddenly he's got a lot of opinions. This one Christmas, 4 years ago, I get told to come over early. There's this weird tension. Grant is pacing around making digs about people needing to step up. Dinner starts and the food is actually good, but it's all just a prelude to what's coming. After we eat, my mom stands up and says she wants to celebrate some real achievements. Immediately, Grant sits up straighter and looks at me, smirking. My mom goes on about hard work and dedication, and then she hands Grant this envelope with both hands, like it's an award show or something. Grant opens it, laughs, and holds up a check. He literally says, "Guess it pays to be the successful one in the family," and shows the check to his then-fiancée, who squeals and hugs him. My dad claps and says, "That's what being a man looks like." I honestly thought she was joking for a second, because who gives their kid 10 grand at dinner? But nope, it was real. Then my mom turns to me, and it gets super quiet. She says, "Well, some people in this family don't get rewards." Then she looks me dead in the eye and says, "Failures don't get rewards. You don't deserve a damn thing." My dad just nods and looks straight at me like he's waiting for me to argue. Grant laughs, not even pretending to hide it, and elbows me under the table. I stand up and my chair scrapes the floor. "What is this?" I ask. My mom says, "You never did what we asked. You're lazy. You waste your chances." My dad says, "You embarrass us." Grant chimes in, "Maybe if you actually tried for once." I just looked at them, and something inside me just broke. "All right," I said. "Understood." I grabbed my jacket and walked out. I didn't look back. I just walked down the driveway. It was freezing outside and I didn't even care. I could hear them talking behind the door, my mom saying I needed to grow up, my dad saying I'd come crawling back, Grant joking that maybe I'd ask for a loan next year. I just kept walking. That night I crashed on a friend's couch. The only message I got was from Grant, a picture of the check with a bunch of fire emojis. I decided that night I was never going to let it slide. They wanted to make it clear I was nothing to them. So I figured, fine. Let's see how they like it when I'm not around to be their punching bag. And that was just the beginning. For 4 years, they barely spoke. The family they so desperately wanted to look perfect started to fall apart. Grant's marriage failed. His investments tanked. And my parents, who had always played the part of the perfect, well-off family, found themselves in a financial hole they couldn't dig out of. That's when my parents started to call, but it was too late. I had already made a move they weren't prepared for. I had an LLC, I had saved up, and I had been watching. I was watching their house, the house where they told me I was a failure, and I was waiting for it to go into pre-foreclosure. And that, my friends, is exactly what happened. I bought their house out from under them at auction. They called, screaming, crying, begging me to help them. I just listened, and then hung up. Story 2. The police and the room robbery. Okay, that was heavy. Let's switch gears to something a little more cinematic. Have you ever had the police called on you for the most ridiculous, bizarre, and completely wrong reason? This next story is straight out of a Hollywood movie. My girlfriend and I got a hotel room one night to spend some time together. We were both in college, living at home with our parents, so privacy was a rare commodity. We ordered takeout, put on a movie, and hung out. Just a quiet night, or so we thought. Halfway through the movie, there was a loud, aggressive knock at the door. I answered, and there were 5 cops, hands ready at their belts. "Sir, we need to come in," one said. "We've received a report about suspicious activity in this room. Apparently, someone called saying we were planning a robbery, had kidnapped a child, and were holding him hostage. Oh, and we supposedly had a stash of weapons." It sounded like something straight out of a movie, which, funny enough, it was. The cops weren't in the mood to joke. They searched the room, checking closets, drawers, and even under the bed. Of course, they found nothing. No kid, no weapons, just takeout and the laptop playing the movie. The movie we were watching? The plot was about a couple robbing a place, kidnapping a kid, and hiding in a hotel with stolen money and guns. The exact story the neighbors overheard through the wall. When the cops realized, they actually laughed. They apologized for the mix-up and headed to the neighbor's room to chew them out for wasting time. After they left, we couldn't stop laughing. It was the most insane, hilarious thing that had ever happened to us. Story 3. The Ultimate Classroom Revenge. This next story is for anyone who has ever had their work stolen. You know that feeling, the weeks of hard work, the late nights, the pride you feel, and then someone else takes credit for it. This person, a quiet, smart kid, didn't just get mad. They got even, in the most brilliant way possible. I've always been the quiet, smart kid, the one who sits in the back of the class and keeps to himself. College was no different. I didn't have many friends, and honestly, I was fine with that. But the night before a big presentation, something strange happened. One of the popular guys in class, someone who'd never even looked at me, messaged me. He asked if I wanted to hang out. It felt off, but I figured why not? He brought me to a party, and before I knew it, I was drinking for the first time. I woke up back in my dorm feeling awful. The presentation was that morning. When I got to class, the teacher called on him to present first. At first, I wasn't paying attention. Then I looked up and froze. He was presenting my work. Slide by slide, everything I'd spent weeks on was right there. My name wasn't even on it. I waited until the teacher asked, "Any questions for the presenter?" I raised my hand. He smiled, thinking I'd make him look good. "Explain it," I said. He blinked. "Explain what?" he asked, confused. "Everything on this slide," I replied. The teacher asked me to be specific, so I started asking about the research and data, things only someone who did the work would know. It fell apart fast. By the end, everyone knew he hadn't done any of it. After class, I showed the teacher my drafts. She didn't need much convincing. He got a strike on his record, and I got an A. It was the most satisfying moment of my life. Story 4. The patient you hope will pass away. Not all stories are funny or about revenge. Some are a stark reminder of the fragile nature of life and the unimaginable strength of the human spirit. This next story comes from a medical professional, and it's a difficult one to hear, but it speaks to a kind of pain no one should ever have to endure. A teenage girl was napping one afternoon when a reckless driver crashed into her house. Her dad, who was in the kitchen, died on impact. The crash caused an electrical fire that ignited a gas line, engulfing the house in flames. She managed to escape with her younger sister, but she ran back inside to save her dad and the family dogs. She never made it back out on her own. The fire department pulled her out, barely alive. 95% of her body was covered in burns. Her lungs were damaged from smoke inhalation, and she had carbon monoxide and cyanide poisoning. When she arrived at the hospital, we didn't know how she was still alive. Her burns were mostly 3rd degree, which meant no feeling, but the 2nd degree burns caused unimaginable pain. The only untouched skin was a small patch on her thighs. Her face, eyelids, and lips were gone. We started treatment, antibiotics, dressings, and debridement, scraping away dead skin to help healing. The infection hit hard. Within days, fungus burrowed into her wounds, leaving deep holes we had to clean out. I'll never forget scraping around her fingertip, only for it to come off completely. Every day felt like a losing battle. We all thought the same thing but never said it aloud. No one should have to survive this. But she did. After months of pain, surgeries, and therapy, she left the hospital. Last I heard, she's studying to become a burn nurse to help others who have been through what she survived. That is one of the most heartbreaking and inspiring stories I've ever heard. It's a testament to the human will to survive, even in the face of unimaginable horror. Story 5: The Freeloaders and the Dinner Bill. Okay, let's lighten the mood again. We've all had those friends, right? The ones who mysteriously disappear when the bill comes, or who act like they're just getting water and then order the most expensive steak on the menu. Well, this person was tired of it, and they came up with a brilliant plan to shut down their freeloading friends once and for all. I got invited to a group dinner and decided to go. Normally, I'd avoid it like the plague because 2 couples in the group were notorious freeloaders. They'd order the most expensive items, stack up cocktails and appetizers, and then insist we split it evenly when the check came. Meanwhile, I'd be sitting there with a single meal and a soda, getting screwed over every time. The only reason I agreed to go this time was because I was assured they wouldn't be there. But of course, surprise, surprise, they showed up. I wasn't about to cause a scene over it, but I knew exactly how this was going to play out. So I decided to get ahead of it. Halfway through dinner, I excused myself, found our server, and asked him to separate my bill before anything else came to the table. He agreed without hesitation. When the check finally arrived, I casually handed over my card and paid for my portion, leaving a solid 25% tip. That's when one of the freeloaders, looking genuinely offended, spoke up. "Oh, I thought we were splitting it like usual." I just shrugged. "Oh well, that's your bad." That's when 2 other people in the group suddenly decided they wanted their bills separated too. The freeloaders started panicking, realizing their usual scam wasn't going to work this time. They ended up stuck with their ridiculous bill, scrambling to split it between themselves. The tension at the table was thick, but I just sat back sipping my soda, enjoying the best meal I'd ever had. Story 6: The Vanilla Myth. This next story is just bizarre. It's a hilarious but also kind of mind-bending look at cultural assumptions and how they can lead to the most ridiculous conclusions. I grew up in rural Japan, where my classmates had never seen a white person before. Wanting to make a good impression, I bought vanilla perfume and wore it every day. My classmates were obsessed with it, constantly saying I smelled amazing. Some even told me they wished they could smell like me. But when I suggested they buy the same perfume, they'd laugh like I was joking. I never thought much of it until one day I ran out of perfume. At lunch, my friend leaned in and asked, "Why don't you smell like vanilla today?" I groaned, explaining I had to take a 2-hour bus ride just to buy more. Then she hit me with the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. "Wait, you wear perfume?" I blinked, confused. Yeah, that's why I smell like vanilla." She nodded slowly. "Right, but I always thought that's just because you're white." I stared, waiting for her to laugh, but she didn't. Turns out my classmates genuinely believed white people naturally smelled like vanilla. My brain completely shut down. I spent the rest of the day wondering, did they think foreigners came with built-in air fresheners? Story 7: The best mistake ever. Okay, we've got one more story, and this one is a feel-good classic. It's a story of a mistake so huge, so unbelievably expensive, that it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to someone. A friend of mine went on a 2-week cruise for his 15-year anniversary. Everything was perfect until he came home and found his house halfway through a full remodel. The front door was gone, the floors were ripped up, and his kitchen was barely more than a skeleton of exposed pipes and wires. Workers were everywhere, installing cabinets, tiling a brand new bathroom, even roofing the house. "What the hell is going on?" he asked one of the workers, completely stunned. The guy shrugged. "Full renovation, foreclosure project. We're almost done." That's when reality hit. He didn't sell his house. He never missed a mortgage payment. Something was seriously wrong. The contractor handed him the paperwork, smirking like it was all just a minor inconvenience. My friend skimmed the document and nearly laughed out loud. "This says 214 Oak Street," he said, pointing to the address. "This is 241 Oak Street." The contractor turned pale. He bolted to the curb, checked the house number, then frantically looked at the actual foreclosure 3 houses down, which was boarded up and overgrown with weeds. Silence. Then, "I gotta make a call." When the dust settled, my friend got a fully renovated home, exactly how he would have wanted it. New floors, a modern kitchen, a fresh roof. The real estate company responsible had to pay for all the damages and even replace the furniture that got trashed during demolition. Basically, he got a brand new house for free. Best mistake ever. So there you have it. 7 of the most mind-blowing stories I've ever read. From family betrayal to a freeloader's comeuppance, these stories prove that real life is often stranger and more dramatic than anything we could ever make up. I want to hear from you. Which of these stories blew your mind the most? Have you ever had something this wild happen to you? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you next time. We'll see.